I had to click the go live button. All right. Looks like we're streaming. Yeah. All right. Good deal. Okay. Well, since the camera's on me, we'll go ahead and there we go. All right. So I'm Ben Francis, and this is what you see here is a mechanical computer. This Linux user group meeting is all about. It's supposed to be about Linux stuff, but this is just general computing. And right now we're using digital computers everywhere because they're so much faster. But because they're fast, you never see what actually is going on inside the computer. And so mechanical computers are very good for simulating what's actually happening. And so this mechanical computer is an educational tool called the Turing Tumble. You might have seen, I've seen ads for it on Twitter, and I just thought it was the coolest thing since sliced bread. So I went out and got one for my kids. Truth be told, my kids aren't using it, and I'm just playing with it all the time. So the best laid plans of parents have gone astray yet again. But anyway, it is super cool. And so what I've set up here is a mechanical computer is programmed by putting logic gates, bits and switches physically on the computer, like they did in the old days when they had the ENIAC, and any program had to be programmed this way. It was done with electrical components, but it still did the same thing. So this is a marble-based computer, and the way it's set now is it's just got bits right here, which are the blue. Each one of these blue plastic pieces represents a bit, and you can see it's got two states that it can be in, either off or on. We're defining off as pointing to the left and on pointing to the right. And we got 8 blue balls up here, and because we have 4 bits, we can actually count these balls. And so the first bit can count up to 2, 0 and 1. Add another bit, and that counts up to 4. 3 bits counts to 8, and 4 bits counts to 16. So to go ahead and start this thing and see how it does, we just go ahead and initiate with this little lever right here, which is tied to this this black plastic wheel up here. It's going to allow one ball to come down and flip this bit and simulate okay, now we got 1 blue ball, and then the marble is going to go all the way down and then hit this thing again without me having to hit it. And then so it's going to end up the representation of 8 is going to be shown on these blue bit switches. So I'm going to go ahead and do this. All right, there's 1. There's 2. 0 plus the second bit. There's 3. There's 4. There's 5. 6. 7. And 8. So this is 0, 0, 0, and the 4th bit is flipped, so that's 8 with no 1s, no 2s, no 4s. And that's a very simple program, but and I'm not being paid by the company that sells this at all. I just think it's cool. But this company reminds me of Apple because they put so much effort into this book here. I mean, this manual, is not your normal manual because it starts out as a coloring book or a comic book, like the adventure begins, and you got to go through like that's 4 pages, 5, 6, 8, not 10 pages. I mean, yeah, just to get to the first problem, you got to go through like 16 pages before you get to the how to play, and then you get to your first one, challenge 1, which is gravity. And it looks like you got this is showing up backwards in your monitor. So sorry about that.
It's forward for us. It's
forward for you. Oh, okay. All right. Well, we've already established that I'm stupid on video, so that's nothing new. So anyway, yeah, you get the number of challenges. This is challenge 1. Make all the blue balls, and only the blue balls reach the end. So blah 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 blah. You start with the setup, and then you got to add some bits to make it only drop the blue balls and not drop the red balls at all. So it just starts with simple ones like that, and then let's see if I go to the back. I mean, here's challenge 55 and 56. So 57, yeah, 57 challenges with the answers in the back. Here's all the answers. And each challenge is still, got more comic stuff in between. So it is totally geared toward, the preteen, teen kind of person that just wants to, play around with logic, and just one of the fun things I found to do during this during the COVID lockdown. So that's it. Anybody have any questions?
That's super cool. I want one to play with.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. How much did it cost you?
It was like, I think it was $69. So probably 74 with tax, 75, something like that.
And what were those other logic gates that you had?
Okay, so so you can do this operation. You can actually copy one bit to another with a certain selection of here, this guy. What was it? Yeah. Nope, doing it wrong. All right. So anyway, I'm not sure what the technical terminology for these gear type bits are. I think they actually call them gear bits in the game. But anyway, you want to get them so that they are both pointing. All right. Let me put them down. There we go. Now we go. All right. So you get a gear like this, and then put another gear on top. And if a marble comes down, so the important part is this guy. Is he pointing to the right or left? So if a marble comes down and hits this gear bit, I didn't do it nicely. All right. So if he's pointing to the left and a marble hits it, then it switches, but then it also switches back. See that? Uh-oh. I started the machine. And that's an important property for some of the games. Because you're like you want to be able to register that something went through, but then you also want the gear bit to revert back to its original position. So it's important. You would have if you wanted to copy this bit, the state of this bit to another to another gear bit, then you would have 3 more gear bits over here with another red gear, and then you could arrange the logic gates to copy whatever the state of this bit is to the other bit. So, yeah, and then there's this little guy right here that you can put. Oops, hold on. All right, so if you got a marble coming down that's headed for this side, you can switch it and tell it and put this thing down here, and it goes into the other side. So it's kind of like an OR gate. And if the marble comes down on this side, then it goes to the right side. Oh, all right. And then very interesting. Last thing I want to say is it's got one of these little dealies right here. This is called a stop bit. So if a marble came down on the right-hand side, hold on. All right. Well, that wasn't so clean, but anyway, the stop bit stops the machine. Or else, if you got infinite marbles, then the machine just keeps going. So you need a way to stop it programmatically. And this is how it's implemented. Just has a little bit that catches whatever the marble was sent to it, and it just stops right there. So really interesting problems that you would never see in a modern computer nowadays. But all this stuff had to be figured out 60 or 70 years ago when they were doing ENIAC. So it's just really fun to go through it. Any other questions?
It kind of reminds me of this game I used to play on Android called The Sequence.
Called The Sequence?
Yeah, if you want to look at it. It's on the Play Store. It may be on Apple too, I don't know. But it's kind of similar to this. It's got a bunch of little things you build. I think it's 99. This is the free version.
Yeah, that's funny to mention that, because I have a board version of Sequence right here in this room. So I wonder if it's the same thing. All right. So that's. I'll wait till later to do the other presentation I have.
Okay, Matt, would you like to go next?
Sure. I think I can share my screen.
And is it possible for you to be a little bit louder?
Is that better?
Not really.
As I can get. Let me see if I can turn this mic volume up.
Didn't understand what you just said.
Stand by. Microphone boost. Let's see.
Microphone appears to be noisy. Let me mute mine.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Much better, yes.
That's much better.
Yes, that's great.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was using my camera's microphone. That makes it better. All right, let's see if I can share the screen. I'll do the entire screen. Share. All right. Can you see this? The magic mirror?
Not yet.
No.
Nope, still don't see anything.
All right. You can see that.
Nope.
Oh, it's loading on my end.
Okay.
How about that? Are you seeing that Chrome tab?
No.
Don't you just love this live demo stuff? Let's see. All right, how about now?
No. Well, that's aggravating.
Hang on.
Are you sharing full screen? Or are you showing an application or a tab or what?
I was trying to show, this is Chrome. Let's see if it'll do it in Chrome. It says it's sharing. Still don't see it?
I'm not seeing anything. No.
Oh, darn. Well,
You're not seeing anything, are you, Ben or Caleb?
No, sorry.
let's see. What if I change? How about
Oh,
that?
there you go.
Okay, I see something.
I turned my camera on. Okay, so that's different. My camera. All right, scroll now. All right, okay, all right. Recently, I got 20 years at the company I work for, so they had a little catalog of gifts to get, and everything I pretty much had, or I wasn't gonna use it for anything. So there was a 32-inch LG TV on there. I was like, well, I don't watch a lot of TV, but I could use that as a picture frame if I put a Raspberry Pi on it. So I was looking for something to kind of do a display with. And I came across this project called the Magic Mirror. And pretty cool. Originally it's set up so that you put like a frame around it with a piece of two-way mirror on top so that you just see the you see your reflection, but you also see the information behind it, so it looks something like that. It was really easy to set up. It's got like a simple little configuration file. You put the little module kind of in the corners of where you want them to go. There's these positions here. You can do it's kind of like, I guess, kind of like a CSS file, kind of putting the little modules where you want them to. And the default ones give you clock, calendar, weather. You can do RSS news feeds, notifications. But there are, I couldn't even count, I would say about 300 different third-party modules you can get to add onto this. And now I was thinking about doing something like a web page, like kiosk mode, and doing my own thing. But this is kind of what mine looks like. I've got all the pictures come from like a Google photo folder that's shared with my family, so they can all throw pictures in there. And then up in this right-hand corner, I've got the time and temperature. It just kind of rotates between those. I think it rotates like every 15 seconds is what I've got set to. And then the pictures rotate every minute. And I've just got, that's the planet rise, pollen forecast, moon phases. Down at the bottom, I've got just an RSS feed of humorous quotes is what it's come from. I would like to have the baseball scores down there whenever that starts back up again. So flights above will show you like the airplanes flying above your house. And then I've got there's all kinds of little, you can put a little countdown, so you can put how many days it is to whatever date. You got weather forecast. You got calendar information you can link in there. Weather information. MQTT. I've got it tied into a few sensors that display the temperature and stuff. The next time you can see the ISS, I've got that one up there. And the NASA near Earth objects, every time there's an asteroid coming by, kind of see how big they are and how close they're coming to the Earth, which is kind of scary if you actually, because there's some potentially dangerous ones that happen probably almost every day, which was kind of like, whoa. So that was kind of a cool one. I've got it running on a Raspberry Pi 3 right now. It's kind of pushing it. It's the original 3. It's not the 3B or Plus or anything. But they do have voice control, facial recognition, and gesture controls that you can add to it to make it change, do different things whenever you tell it to, or it sees someone, or you just wave your hand in front of it. So there's that one. That's into that.
That's really cool.
Anybody got any questions on that one?
So
That is so cool.
where do you get the two-way mirror stuff?
I don't know. I think you can get it from Home Depot, but I'm not sure. I didn't go the mirror route, and I'm not very good with woodworking, so I was just like, well, yeah, just like I said, I wanted a picture frame, basically, a digital picture frame.
Oh, so you didn't do the mirror part of it?
No, I didn't do the mirror part, so I just did like a picture frame so you can see the whole display. But that's what this project was originally set up as, but it's very versatile. So yeah, and it's got the spousal acceptance, and my mother-in-law said she wanted one, so there's that.
That looks like a great project for Lockdown.
Yeah, it's kind of made me smile, especially with all the family. They got their pictures on there, and I can see things that are going on, so it's kind of neat. All right. The other one I got, I'll do another. I tried Ubuntu Studio recently, and it uses the XFCE desktop. I would say recently, it was a couple months ago, so it was still on the recent. It wasn't the 2004 release, and it used the XFCE desktop, which it was okay, but I wasn't a big fan of. But I recently found the Ubuntu Studio installer, which any Ubuntu flavor, if you got it, you just run that sudo apt command, install it, and you can pick out it puts a lot of the audio, graphics, photography, video production, all that stuff, if you can just figure out which buttons to push. But I really like it. It's got I don't know, it's got, my wife does a lot of art, so it's got like Krita and GIMP and dark tables, and yeah, it just installs all of that. So that was just a quick one that I saw that was kind of neat.
And what is Ubuntu Studio for? I mean, what?
It's just for doing video production, photography, any sort of graphics, photography, yeah, any of that stuff. You can kind of see down here, you can kind of just click which parts that you want and just install the selected package, and it just adds it all to the it adds all those programs to it. There's I couldn't even tell you, there's a bunch that I've never even heard of. I'm still playing with some of them. But that's all I really got.
Well, now I'm curious, Matt. Also, what is this that you're showing your slide deck? What is this application?
Oh, it's just a markdown program called HackMD,
Okay.
and I just like doing notes.
Yeah.
But I can share this link in the chat if anybody wants to go to it.
So is it a website then?
Yeah, it's basically what is that other one? Cody MD, which is just a markdown editor. And I don't know, I guess I can kind of show it off if you want to see it, but you click the button there and you can just, edit everything markdown.
And there's the markdown.
And yeah, it's really kind of nice, and it's just a cloud application. So, and then yeah, you can share pretty much anything.
Sorry, didn't mean to go off on a tangent.
I made this one public. Oh no, I kind of like it for doing notes and stuff. Keeps things kind of organized. Well, if anybody wants that markdown link.
Appreciate that. It's kind of funny you say you're getting to where you like markdown. I enjoy that myself, and in fact, let me go here. Here's my notes in markdown. Did I do that right? Can y'all see my notes? Let me see. Show me, Jace. Nope, that's the wrong screen. I shared the wrong screen. Sorry, y'all. Give me a second. Application window. That. Share. There we go. Okay. So yeah, it's funny that you were talking about Markdown, because here I wrote my notes in Markdown also. I don't have it displayed as using a Markdown editor. This is just VI. So for my presentation, I just wanted to talk about what I got working at work last week. I had a project where I was supposed to collect all the OS logs and put it to a central log collector VM, and then also have those logs sent to our Splunk system at work. So that was what was tasked to me, and so based on that, I decided on the solution was to first create a new VM to be the central log collection agency, obviously. I decided to use our syslog for logging because that was already Debian's default syslog system. So all I just needed to do was figure out the syntax and stuff and reconfigure it. I had to contact the Splunk team, and they set me up a port for a port specifically for our business units logs, so that they could index the logs that way. And what I decided to do in the end was for every node to send logs both to the central log collector and to the Splunk system, and have them both sent over TCP. So right here, I'm showing a little bit of the pertinent parts of the config file, pertinent for this discussion, and that is that the template was called our syslog file format. That's the default logging format, and all logs get sent to my syslog server, and all logs also get sent to the Splunk server on that special port that they signed up. Oh, and I'm redacting actual names and IPs for the purposes of this demonstration. Y'all don't need to know it, and I don't need to get in trouble for divulging that. So, but so anyway, so these are like the three main parts of the configuration file for this for tonight's discussion. And of course, then I wanted to test it. So I decided to create what would be a good test for that would be something that's a simple failure that I could see on all the different places, and use a known that is non-existent unique user, and then put in a bogus password so that I see an SSH log message saying that it failed for this bogus user, and it'd be easy to search because I just did it the one time. It's unique, and that way. So I went ahead and tested it out, and when I looked at the journal, this was kind of the format that it would log as. I looked at the journal and it said May 29th, the time, the host name, the daemon, its process ID, and the error message, which was okay. And I guess it's like, okay, well, that's not exactly what I want, but this is the journal, so it's probably just looking at my current batch settings for the way I want to display time. The problem was the time. There's no year there. It's in Middle Indian format, and I prefer Big Indian format. But then you'll notice that I used here at the in the middle here, I used Charlie Brown. That was my search term. And so what I did was I SSH'd as Charlie Brown, hit the keyboard with a bunch of random letters, and knew I would fail, and I got this error message. So this was my log entry. So when I did that, again, like I say, I saw that this format was not exactly what I'm looking for. So I had to research in our syslog to see what I wanted, and I thought, it'd be nice if I used a standard. And I found this. Our syslog has this standard format called rsyslog _syslog protocol 23 format, and the description was that it was created originally using the IETF's Internet Draft syslog protocol 23, which apparently was like the basis for RFC 5424. Hey, there's an RFC, so let's use an RFC as a standard. So I decided to use that. This was the line that I changed. You noticed up above, action file default template got changed to rsyslog, from rsyslog file format to this rsyslog syslog protocol 32 form, 23, sorry. So I thought that would fix it. Fantastic, great. I looked at the local file system, and in my var logs, I sure enough saw that the logs looked like this. It had some sort of less than 38 greater than 1. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm sure it's part of the RFC. Then we got the time. Year dash month number dash day number, capital T, for time being hour colon minute colon second dot millisecond with a minus 0400 indicating my time zone. Fantastic. This is exactly what I want. Big Indian time zone indicator. Milliseconds is fine. I didn't really care. But you see, it's essentially the same error message with a different time. Failed password for Charlie Brown from localhost port blah blah blah, whatever. So that was great. That was what it was on the local file system whenever it, logged that entry onto the system I was testing from. I went to the new VM, the centralized logging server on the log server, and I knew that it would be in mount logs under its host name, and then year/month, and then the day would be a day.log file format. Look at it. It looks almost the same. It doesn't have the milliseconds, but I didn't miss that necessarily. But otherwise, the two are identical. So that must be what the RFC 5424 was. So I was very satisfied with that. Then I went to the Splunk system, and I looked at it, and I'm going to show you. I don't have Splunk on my machine here, so I'll have to show you what that looks like by resharing. I cropped a version of that, and that is over here. It looks like this. I blotted out. I redacted the parts that y'all don't really need to know about, but you see here was the three on the left were essentially host name and IP addresses, so you don't really care about that. The right is the name of the my business unit. Whatever. But you see here on the left column, you'll see that the date and time are what it thinks that the log entry is. And then the first part of that log, you see it says 2020-06-03. So, today's date, capital T, and then today's time. Wait a minute. 3:53. That matches the other time. And then minus 700. So wait a second. This is now, even though I'm in Eastern Standard Time Zone, it's sending it. It thought that it's got it marked as though it's in Pacific time zone, the minus 700. So that was not what I wanted at all. And in fact, the problem that I was having was whenever I went into Splunk, Splunk will show you the logs as they come in. But whenever I would look for the current logs, they weren't there. So I'd be looking for, in this case, you'll see Linus Van Peebles. That's Charlie Brown's best friend. Yeah, I would search for Linus Van Peebles, and it would not show up for the past. Well, it would never show up because I would have it in Splunk. You want to have the shortest amount of time to search for stuff, but I would go from 15 minutes to the past day to the past year, and it would still not show up, and I could not figure out what happened to this log entry. Then I set it to all time. The range of time for it to search over was all time, and sure enough, there it showed up. It showed up 3 hours in the future, and that's when I discovered that it was logging for the wrong time zone. This is not right. So what I was sending was I thought what I was doing was I was sending a minus 400. It was actually recording it as a minus 700. In other words, I'm sending it, I thought I was sending it saying that I'm in Eastern time zone, but it's recording it as being in Pacific time zone. So this was not acceptable to me. All right, so now I'm going to share back to what I was sharing, and that's my notes. Give me a second. Sorry, y'all. What is the app? Yes. No. Okay. Yeah. All right. Ooh, right? Yes. Okay. Sorry. So that was not right. I was all mad at the Splunk team, and I'm saying, why is it you keep changing the time zone on me? And y'all need to fix your stuff, right? Well, in the shower one morning, I'm like, you know what? I'm claiming that they're changing the time zone, but they may not actually be doing that. So what I decided to do was to sniff what was being sent across the wire, and I did that using TCP dump, using this command here. I captured a SSH session to the file dump.pcat, and then I would analyze it using Wireshark. So TCP dump and Wireshark go hand in hand together with each other. I don't know if anyone's ever used Wireshark. It's an excellent tool for sniffing packets. Excuse me. Wireshark will actually do the sniffing too, but the best thing about Wireshark is that it'll analyze it, and it knows all the protocol names and all the different parts of a packet. It's just fantastic. But Wireshark requires X or Windows or Macintosh or something like that, and these were headless VMs that I was working on. So TCP dump will also collect what's called PCAP files that Wireshark will understand. And so I use Wireshark to analyze it. Let me share Wireshark and show you what it looks like. Just a little quick glimpse at it. So this is Wireshark. Up at the top here are the packets, and whenever you select the packet, the middle part here breaks it down into all its different parts, and you can analyze each of those different parts if you want to. The bottom section is the bits and of all that, and it breaks it down. And when you hover over it, it'll show you what part of, so this is IPv4. This section in blue is IPv4 of this one packet right here. So I recommend, if y'all are ever going to do any sort of networking, or you need to figure out what's going on your network, Wireshark is a really good thing to use. So you'll see this was this particular packet right here up at the top was going from 127.0.0.1 to 127.0.0.1 using protocol remote shell. You'll see that was Ethernet, IPv4, TCP, and then here's a remote shell. But anyway, so I'll show you a little more about that in a second. Let me go back to my notes again. And my notes are over here, I think. Yes, they're there. Okay. My screen goes away. So when I looked at the Wireshark of, and this time I used Lucy Van Peebles. That's Linus and Lucy are brothers and sisters. Well, guess what I noticed here? It's sending it in this form, June 3, 15/11/37. That's not at all the time that I expected. Year, month, day, hour, minute, second, time zone. It's not at all. So I discovered that was like the default way of sending across the wire. So even though it was logging in the format that I wanted, it was not sending it over the wire. Well, after doing some Googling, of course, and going to Stack Exchange, Stack Overflow, I don't remember which one it was, but of course someone had to answer. And I discovered that what I need to do is add the template to the end here of what I'd already had up above. So start all log types go to Splunk server and syslog server, and at the end you tell it the format that it should be sent with after a semicolon. The parenthesis O parenthesis is something about I can't remember. It was something about the formatting of it. Make sure that it's boundaries or something like that. But I just copied and pasted it and put in my server names and ports and that thing. And you know what? Once I sniffed it, exactly what I was hoping for. Year, month, day, time, hour, minute, second, millisecond, with a negative 400. And sure enough, that fixed it. Yeah, so I was all that, and I had to discover that I needed to add into my config file these templates to the end of it. So I've got a little demo if y'all want to see of how you do the sniff. Look to make sure. All right, I'll restart syslog and my password. All right. So on this particular machine, I'm adding the -I loopback so that it'll sniff just the loopback, because I'm just going to and from localhost. So TCP dump running now. When I put my password in, listening, and now I'll go over here and I will do my. Oh, I didn't have it prepared. So SSH, and we'll say, what's the cartoon character? Popeye. Localhost. I just throw something on the keyboard. Nope, that's not the right password for Popeye. Okay, Control C to kill it. I know that's not right. Stop TCP dump with Control C. So now what I have is this this dump.pcap file, and let me go over to Wireshark, and we'll analyze it in Wireshark. Share that. Y'all can see that, I hope. Since I haven't changed the name of the file, I'm going to open the recent file name, dump.pcap. And I know that I'm looking on TCP port 514 because that's the default syslog port. It's actually UDP, but I set it up for TCP. Oh, yeah, I forgot to mention that. UDP, or syslog by default, is on 514 UDP. But if you give the config file the @ instead of the normal single @ and give it a double @ it'll do TCP instead. And I did that to match what Splunk listens on TCP. So looking for everything on port 514, TCP port 514. I'm just going to go to the first one, and I'm going to follow the TCP stream. Can y'all see that? No, you cannot. Let's see, what about this? Let me see. Crud. It's not showing up on the screen. I'm right-clicking. Y'all see a pop-up window?
No.
Yeah, you don't. Okay. Yeah. Oh. Well, trust me in this. I am right-clicking, going to follow the TCP stream, and what that does is it brings up another window. So let me unshare and share the new window that just popped up. Give me a second, y'all. You know, maybe I should just share the whole screen. Let me share the whole screen. Maybe I can.
Yeah, I think that's the fix.
Yeah. Okay. So let me go back over here and show you. Right click. Yeah. Follow.
Yeah, now we see it.
Stream. It's a little smaller, I know, so I'm sorry about that if you can't read it, but I try to make it a little big. And TCP stream, what that'll do is it'll pop up this window. And this was the TCP stream. This is what syslog was sending to the log, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here at the bottom and look for Popeye. And there's the one thing I was looking at. Oh, hey, look, over on the left, it highlighted that particular packet or series of packets. You'll see invalid user Popeye is the error message, but the important thing for me is right here, the timestamp, and it's using the RFC style timestamp, capital T, and a -400, which is exactly what I was wanting. Hooray for me! I figured it out. Who's next? Any questions? Now that I've been jabbering.
No, I feel you with time. I've been there myself. I like to convert everything to epoch time if I can. Just have the milliseconds and then just do the math from there.
I understand that.
I'm usually dealing with microcontrollers, so that's usually the easiest way to.
That makes sense. Yeah, and you probably also use UTC, don't you?
Yeah. And then just subtract however many seconds from UTC for your time zone.
Yeah, I understand that. The one thing about all this problem was I asked them, where is the Splunk server? They said, oh, it's in Chicago. I'm like, Chicago? So yeah. Well, what time zone is it set for? Oh, it's set for Pacific time zone. I'm like, wait a second, it's in Chicago, set for Pacific? It should be set for Central. And here I am sending from Eastern, and it messes it up and sets it in Pacific. The thing is that it looked at the time, and because there was no time zone indicator, the -400, it took it as local time, which was Pacific. So I was so confused because I knew that I was sending it to a Chicago server, but it's showing up Pacific time zone anyway. So yeah, that was, and I asked them, can they change it to Central time zone? Nope.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been there. I know what you're talking about.
So Jace is the lesson here if you're ever dealing with machine data, always store in UTC, and then let the application. If the user ever has to look at it, then let the application subtract the time zone.
Well, no, I think computers are good at subtracting time zone. You just got to be sure that you're sending the right time zone, or that you're sending a time zone at all. So my problem was that the logs that were being sent had no time zone indicator. So it said, oh, local time. Local time meaning Pacific for this Chicago machine.
Yeah.
But it was actually English Eastern time zone that I was sending it in. Blah. Once that got, once the right time zone was put, the -400 instead of the -700, all the things showed up, for the last 15 minutes and for the last day and blah, blah, blah. I didn't have to look in the future for current error messages. Who's next? Ben, would you like to go again?
Yeah, sure. I always like to talk. All right, let's. Are you seeing my screen here?
No.
Okay, sorry. Let me try it again.
No, I don't.
Unmute. Turn your camera back on. That's what I had to do to get mine to start working. I don't know why. Share my screen. You have to turn your camera on.
Okay.
Yeah. Now I
There
see
we
it.
go.
Okay, so this is all cloudy server stuff. So sorry about that, but anyway, HashiCorp is a wonderful company that started in 2012, and this will just be a 5-minute deal. And they've created a whole bunch of open source products that are just, each one of them is a game changer on its own. But they've got 6 of them, 6 game changers, and they've been doing this since 2012, and and they still haven't gone public yet or anything. So they're still in this nice phase where they're just doing everything because they love open source and programming and all this stuff. And I ran across this a guy on YouTube talking about this white paper right here, unlocking the cloud operating model. And it's it's free. You just go to the site, search for HashiCorp Cloud Operating Model, and they basically come up with this point right here, is that when you're dealing with on-premises machines and servers and everything, your entire security model is based on this notion of static a static infrastructure that doesn't really change at all. And that's fine for that infrastructure. You racket stack your servers, you secure them by IP, and you connect to them with the network's infrastructure, and then you use VMware to run your virtual machines. But when you go to multi-cloud, which I define as, okay, I still have my on-premises servers and stuff, but we're going to Google Cloud or Azure or AWS. And as soon as you make that decision, now you've got 2 problems. You've got your on-premises stuff that you're going to have for much longer than you thought, and then you got to manage the cloud. So the whole static thing turns into a dynamic thing, and everything changes. And static doesn't work so well, so you have to go to the capacity on demand. Okay, I need 100 servers today. Can we spin them up? DevOps team. And then as soon as you spin them up, you might have spun them up in VMware on premises, or you might have done it in AWS. And in that model, if you're still securing everything through IPs and ports that you used to the static way, then it's going to be too hard to manage. So your whole security situation has to change from ports and IPs to identity-based security. So, and this is what Google did, a while ago. If you're a Google employee, there's no VPNs or anything, or there's no VPNs or IPs and ports or anything like that. It's just they trust the person and they trust the device that the person is using, and that is it. So it's all about identity-based, low-trust identity-based systems. So everything is HTTPS instead of HTTP over here inside your intranet. This is just we're playing over the internet, and it's all everything is HTTPS, and then connecting. So your host-based static IP is just going to be your local network on our way of doing it, and that goes to a service mesh where the HashiCorp product would be called console, but you're going to have something that is not based on IPs and ports anymore. It's just going to be DNS like entries that you're messing with instead of the IPs and ports, and you're not really sure, and you don't really care if that DNS entry is pointing to Google servers or AWS's or Azure's or Linode's, whoever you're using. It's just going to be all based on DNS, and as you go up the stack here, now you're finally at the run phase, and instead of using VMware, you're going to be using Kubernetes or ECS from Amazon or GCP. You're going to have some kind of orchestrator to orchestrate all that stuff. So I thought seeing this cloud operating model white paper was a really good way to get in your mind, how everything is going to be changing, because you're, being a person, a human, you're going to want to do this, the same things you were doing in the static environment. You're going to want to do that in AWS, and it doesn't really want to be that way. Especially if you're doing multi-cloud, and you're going to be doing multi-cloud, because you're just not going to turn off everything and switch to AWS immediately. So that's it. So that was a really strong chart. And then down here, this is the same thing. You got the static model over here, and on premises, you're doing Terraform and using AD for your identity, and you're connecting with a bunch of hardware and using vSphere on top from VMware. In AWS, you're going to be doing CloudFormation. You're going to be using AWS IAM, or you might be. Actually, we're not. And then you're going to use some kind of a cloud map or application mesh, and then you're going to be running everything with Kubernetes or the Elastic Container Service and or Lambda. So I thought this was a really strong white paper for switching my view. Any questions? Okay. Come on now. Stop. All right, stop sharing. There we go.
Wow.
Okay.
I will have to read that white paper now.
Yeah, especially the identity stuff is, that really made a lot of sense. So.
Now, you said you're not using AIM. Are y'all using AD?
We're using Okta, actually.
Using what?
Okta.
Okta.
Yeah. Have you heard of identity providers like OAuth and Auth0?
Yeah.
Yeah. Same kind of deal.
Oh.
Yeah. So Auth0, if you're they support like 8 different companies, Google, Facebook, Twitter, so as long as you have an account with one of those people, then Auth0 can say, yeah, we know this guy. He is who he says he is, which is the authentication piece. And then Auth0 would pass that off to your servers and say, yeah, this guy is who he says he is, and now authorization, is on your end. So, so there's a lot of relearning to do when you go from on premises to the cloud.
Yeah.
I think we're going on 6 months now, and we're not even close to figuring it all out. AWS has over 200 currently has 269 services, and you're supposed to be fluent in 5 or 10 of them, and it just doesn't happen overnight.
And they all have the craziest names too.
Yeah, right. Yeah. What's the craziest name you're thinking of, Matt?
I like the elastic beanstalk. Yeah, that's my favorite one. But that is a good way. I learned to put up a website with that, and it's actually pretty cool to you can push kind of a website that you build on your computer straight up to AWS, and that's pretty much the only thing I've really played with in depth.
Yeah.
Well, I noticed that Alan joined. Hey, Alan.
Hey, Jace.
Were you wanting to give us a lightning talk too?
No, I think I might pass on that tonight.
Okay. Well,
Thanks, though.
yeah. Well, now I guess then we could have like question and answer if anyone has any, or otherwise we could adjourn. I'm not sure if anyone has anything.
I have a life hack for you, Jace.
Oh, please.
Okay, so this is probably pretty common. Whenever I buy a printer, I tend to go for the $99 printers that you see in any of the big box stores. And hey, yay, it's $99. I got a whole printer for $99, but everybody here knows the caveat to that is it comes with about 50 milliliters worth of ink, and then you will run out of that black and color ink in probably a week, if not a day. And then you're going back to Office Depot to buy one of those cartridges again. And they're ridiculous. They're like $25, $30 each one of them. And then, so, 2 trips to the store for, both those color and black and whites, and you spend as much money in cartridges as you have on the printer itself. And that is their operating model. So I was determined to get away from that. So I knew about our surplus warehouse. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Ta-da.
Yeah, I've seen a chart once comparing different liquids and the cost. And toner costs more than anything. It costs more than petroleum. It costs more than I can't even remember all the ridiculous everything. It costs more than anything. Liquid gold, I think, was one of them, or something like that.
Yeah, it's like more expensive than platinum.
Yeah.
So anyway, can you see my the surplus property office screen right here? All right, so this is a wonderful little thing. I know you all are in Greenville and everything, but if you're ever in Columbia, come on, and it's a weekday, then make sure you stop by this place and just look at all the stuff that they have. Because whenever a government agency gets tired of the equipment they have, say a three-year life cycle for a print or a laptop, or 5-year life cycle for a printer, they send it to this place, and this place only job is to sell it for cash on the barrelhead. So all right, so I'm filtering right now for office desks, file cabinets, chairs, credenzas, and there's a whole bunch of other stuff that you can filter for. But the best part is this right here, computer equipment. And I'm going to go ahead and submit the query. Now, look at the prices. A Dell Latitude, great little laptop, $125. Can't beat it. Of course, this is all used equipment, so you're, keep that in mind. You're going to get some duds every now and then. I have not yet, but you get to look at it and pick it up and turn it on, turn it off, and all that stuff. And if you want to buy it, then more power to you. So all right. I'm trying to find. Okay, yeah, here we go. So I saw a whole bunch of these printers at the state surplus warehouse, and this is Currently, it's a $500 computer, as cheap as you can get it on Amazon, and you can buy it used for $259. See that right here? This is I'm on Amazon right now. So this is a Kyocera FS 2100DN. They don't make it anymore, but Amazon's still selling the used one. And I looked at comparable printers on Amazon right now, and they're about $500. So I go in there and tired of spending all this money on ink, and I look at the price of one of these. You get the whole shoot match, plus a big giant thing of toner, that is already in the printer for $50. And I got one. I said, and I looked around for, I checked all 10 printers out, and I chose the one with the heaviest toner cartridge because I knew that had the most toner in it. And this was about a year ago. And I've got kids in school and everything. Whenever they need, I took it home and hooked it up, gave it a static IP, and boom, 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 Bob's your uncle. And it prints great, and with that much toner that it had, I am never ever going to run out of toner on this, even with 4 kids in school. If when I run out of toner, new toner for this thing is like $79, but shoot, I can get a whole new printer for $50. So I could just go back there and spend the cost for 2 toner cartridges on a regular printer at the store, and just get a whole new commercial class printer.
Nice.
So that's the life hack.
Just a word of caution. I found a printer. It was a label printer recently, and it was serial. And so I tried to set it up, and I got the drivers loaded in Linux, and I screwed my whole desktop up. And come to find out, there was a known bug in the driver. So yeah, I ended up having to figure that out. That was no fun.
Yeah, it's definitely buyer beware.
Network works a lot better than the serial printers, definitely.
Yeah. One time I walked in there, and I'm not kidding. I saw a full AS400 on sale for $500. AS400 mainframe computer. You don't know how tempted I was. Not even knowing the AS400 operating system or language or anything, but that was the first object-oriented computer, an operating system, designed in 1970.
Wow.
But it would have probably cost $1,000 a month just to run it, on the electricity wise. But it was no bigger than a kitchen table. But yeah, they have all kinds of great stuff in there. I mean, if I'm sure, hold on, let me share the screen again. Am I still? All right. Some of these some of these categories are hilarious. Okay, ambulances. You can submit the ambulance query, and this category wouldn't be here unless somebody was shopping for ambulances. There's none today, but bucket trucks. You want to buy a bucket truck? This is your place. But there just don't happen to be any today. But all kinds of compressors. They didn't have any compressors, but office supplies, furniture, medical equipment.
Go to musical.
You want musical? Okay, yeah, this is a good one. Cheap music stand and music stand dolly with casters. $15, $30. And I'm sure that stuff is like $100 or $200 at a music store. Mobile home. Energy efficient, standard DAX, $300 cap. I don't know what that means. But they got it. Passenger cars. I haven't looked at that one. Let's try that. Nope. No cars today. Pumps and centrifuges. Nope. I guess the categories are if it ever made it through the system as a certain category, then that category gets populated. Scientific educational equipment. Oh, there we go. Microscope for $100. And you got to know that's no toy microscope. That's the real deal. Cell washer. What would that be? Imufuge. Yeah. And if you click on them, in the past they used to have a picture of the item, and I think they fired whoever, or a budget cut or something, because they all come up with this map right here of where the surplus warehouse is. Yeah, that's it. So, but yeah, it's fun to go to that site and just see what they got selling today.
Would you mind sending that link to?
I will send this link.
Thank you.
And I'll do that right now. So we can talk about other stuff. Where's my Gmail? There it is.
Well, let me just ask: does anyone else have anything else they'd like to talk about? I want to discuss, because I'm smelling tacos upstairs. So I may want to leave soon.
Taco Tuesday.
Oh, you got a place like that too?
No, not normally. It's just today. It just happened to be.
Yeah.
I have to tease my wife about that.
Yeah, the local Mexican restaurant here has dollar tacos on Tuesdays. So yeah, that's our spot to go on Tuesdays.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I got the link. So, alrighty. Well, we can close up shop now, I guess.
Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Caleb and Arnold and Alan for joining. And I guess we'll see you next month.
All right. See you, Jace.
Sure.
See you.
Guys.
Hopefully we're in person.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's crazy talk. That's next year.
Oh goodness.
All right, y'all take care.
All right. See y'all.